just joined or haven't been to any of my classes before, I'm Christine. This is Namastay at Home Yoga. We're all staying home to ensure that we flatten that curve, and that means you're probably not going to a studio. So this session today is a full body flow. So we're going to move between positions, but it won't be that you're working so fast you don't get time to sit in each pose. So what I'd like to stress is what's called time under tension. So keeping in a position, keeping low, keeping static, form perfect or near to, will enable you to then have that moment where your muscles are really under tension. And that time under tension is what builds stability, strength and flexibility. So the class today is a full body flow, but it's one I've named myself as Phoenix Flow, which Joey, my housemate off screen, has referred to as a Sunday session. So if you do hear any groaning throughout, it's probably not me, it's probably Joey. So for this class, I think it's time we just crack on. What I'd like to do is just some stretching as we work our way down the body. It's always important to start with the neck and just warm that one up first. So as it stands, we'll take our right ear to right shoulder, sitting nice and tall, lengthen through the lower parts of the midsection there, just placing the right ear to the direction of the right shoulder. Should feel a nice bit of stretch down the left-hand side of your neck. If you want a little bit more, you can place the tiniest bit of pressure on the top of the head, releasing the left hand to the mat. Two more breaths here. And on your next inhale, release that hand from the top of the head. Head comes back to neutral spine, and we do it on the opposite side. So left ear to left shoulder. Just feel a nice stretch down the right hand side of your neck. If you want a little bit more, placing a little bit of pressure on the top of the head and releasing that right hand to the mat. Remember your posture in this position, try and get those shoulders to roll back and down. We'll hold it for two more breaths. On your next inhale, releasing that hand from the top of your head, bringing it back to neutral spine. From here, we're going to just do some stretching of the side body. So again, we place our right hand to the mat. You're going to take your left hand up and over, and you're going to lean towards that right hand side. So maybe bending the elbow. What I do ask is that you don't lean forward. We're coming across and through. In this one, you might want to look up under your armpit, chest, just making sure that we're pulling that top shoulder just a little bit further back, holding for two more breaths. And on your next inhale, we're going to come back to neutral spine, placing our left hand down towards the mat, reversing on the other side. Right hand comes up and over, leaning into our left hand side. Maybe look up under this armpit chest region. That will actually dial your chest open. We'll get a nice stretch through the chest, your lats, and down the side of the torso. Just two more breaths in this position. And on your next inhale, coming back through to neutral spine. Again, sitting up nice and tall. We're going to take our hands behind us. You can either make a bind, so bringing your hands together, or maybe just dialing the hands back behind you so pinkies come together. From this, maybe I'll make a bind today. We're really pulling those shoulders back. Those shoulder blades are snuggling in towards each other. Releasing the head, looking up. We'll hold this for 3 breaths. 2 breaths. And on your last breath, when we do bring the hands back, head comes first, and then if you have a bind, don't let the hands slingshot open, just release them and slowly bring them back round to the front. Excellent. We're going to come through onto our hands and knees into our tabletop position. In your tabletop, we want our hands spread nice and wide. Our wrists are under our elbows, which are under our shoulders, stacking bone on bone on bone. And then with our knees, we want to make sure your knees are underneath the hip points, not too far forward or too far back. From this position, we're going to do some cat-cows. So as you inhale, look up, drop the belly, tailbone pushes up, open through the chest. And as you exhale, rolling through, belly button through to the spine, looking through to our belly button, pushing the shoulder girdle up and away, and then as you inhale, rolling through, looking up, fill the lungs, belly pushes down, tailbone up, and again as you exhale, rolling through, looking through to your belly button, shoulder girdle is pushing the mat away. One more. And as you inhale, belly comes down, looking up, tailbone pushes up and back. Last time, as you exhale, rolling through, belly button pulls towards the spine, rounded through the shoulder girdle. And then as you inhale, come back to neutral spine. One long line from the top of your head through to the sacrum of your spine. From this position, we're just going to do some hovers, tabletop hovers, just to warm up through the abs. So from this position, you're going to bring the knees off the mat. So we're going to push the mat away with our hands, and we're going to have weight on the tops of our feet. As you inhale to prepare, lift up, exhale, push the mat away, hovering here, tuck that stomach in, so pull that belly button into the spine, pushing through the shoulder girdle, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and on the one, slowly lowering down, sinking back into your downward facing dog, hips come, your child's pose, hips come back towards the heels, sinking back, hands released, slowly walking forward, head comes down to the mat. At any stage throughout the practice that you feel you need a rest, you have a moment where you think, actually I'd just like to catch my breath again, this is your resting recovery position. You can take at any stage throughout the class. Releasing the head to the mat here. If your flexibility doesn't allow, you can use genie arms, so just placing arm on arm, make a little pillow, and then rest your forehead in this position. Coming out of this, we lead with our nose calves aligned forward, looking up, weight comes back into our hands. We're going to bump the hips back into downward facing dog, so curl those toes, hips go up and back into our downward facing dog. Now this one's your ugly dog of the class, the one where we get to just go off the railway tracks. So pedal the feet out, maybe roll up onto your wrists, warm up the wrists up through the toes, rocking back and forward, bend the knees generously. Maybe bring the chest to the thighs. Maybe you want to rock side to side, just bumping the hips from side to side. Really just work through any tension or tightness the body might be storing. Check that your fingers are spread wide. If there's any tension or tightness in the neck, maybe shake the head yes. Shake the head no. Looking back between our feet. We're going to walk our feet forward, tiny baby steps, just forward direction, stepping tiny steps forward. We're going to walk towards our hands, coming up onto the toes, walking towards our hands. We're going to come into our forward fold. It's the ugly one, so we get to bend our knees generously. We're tipping from our hips, not from rounding on our back. We're just going to, again, release any tension in the neck. Shake it yes, shake it no. Putting the weight into the balls of our feet rather than sinking back into our heels. Slightly tipping forward feeling. We're going to grab our elbows if that feels nice, little bind, and then rock from side to side. Just a gentle rock. Again, we're waking up through the hips, through the back of our legs. You'll feel a nice stretch through the calves, up through the back of your thighs, and maybe into the glutes. For me, I also feel a nice stretch through my lower back and mid-back in this position. Releasing the hands towards the mat, zombie type arms. We're going to roll up, vertebrae by vertebrae, slowly rolling up, no need to rush. Rolling up. Letting the arms dangle forward. last thing to come up will be your head. Now you get to the top, just give yourself a couple of shoulder rolls back. Once you've done 3, reverse the circle, rolling them forward. And then come into neutral spine. From here we're going to come into Tadasana, or your mountain pose. So feet come together, big toes together, arches of the feet together, heels solidly together. We're going to reach the arms up as you inhale, and then as you exhale, hands come to prayer. We're going to come into what's called one leg wind release position. So I want you to put your weight into your right foot. We're going to lift the left leg up, bringing it up in front of you, and I want you to point and flex the toes, up and down, point, flex, point, flex. Make sure you've got that drishti, that one point of focus in front of you, keeping you nice and stable in this position. We're going to come into Warrior 3. If you're an intermediate student, feel free to tip forward into that position. For the rest of us, as you lean forward, your leg is going to counterbalance behind you. Just going to step a little bit more further so you can see. It's going to counterbalance behind you. Small bend in that front knee. Counterbalance, kicking it out behind very slowly. Kick that hand out, that leg behind you. Point that toe until you find that you're in a position where you have a tiny bit of wobble, but you feel nice and solid. Get that drishti, that one point of focus. For intermediate students, maybe put your hands on your hips and just check, are my hips splaying open? Both should be facing the mat. If you fall out of this position, I want you to just jump back into it. We're holding it for 5, 4. If you want more, maybe bring the hands out in front of you straight. 3. If you want even more, arms can come back in airplane. 2. And on the 1, I want you to step that back leg back down, bending that front knee. Bending that front knee. We're going to sink into that front knee. Hands are still in prayer at this moment. Check if your front leg, 90-degree angle. Our back leg can be sitting straight forward, or I'd like if you can put that back heel down, tucking in your toes. We're coming into Warrior 1. Warrior 1. So hands will come up. Inhale, sink into that front leg. Warrior 1. Make sure that front knee hasn't folded in. Push it out. Sink in. Open up through the chest. Arms come back towards the ears, holding for 3 more breaths. 2 more breaths. Can you sink further? And on the 1, windmilling your arms down towards the mat. Framing the foot. Bring your both legs facing forward. We're going to come into lizard pose. So I want you to put both hands on the inside of that arch of that foot. And we're going to just step the foot ever so slightly out towards the edge of your mat. So both hands will be on the inside, foot is on the outside. Keeping that back leg up if you're intermediate. If you're a beginner to yoga and it's your first time in lizard, maybe pop that knee down. From here, this may be enough. You may think, oof, that's strong. If not, and you want a little more, maybe you come down onto your elbows in this position. What I would ask is that that knee comes back in towards the midline of the body. It's not abducting at this moment. For those that want an intermediate or a middle ground, just sink the elbows back behind you. We're holding it for 5, 4, 3, 2, and on the 1, pushing back up. Coming up onto your fingertips. Maybe release that back knee down for a moment of rest. We're going to open up into twisted lizard or nectar of the moon pose. So from here, if you're intermediate, raise that back leg up. We're going to place our weight into our left hand, coming up onto the knife edge of our foot. So the pinky edge of our foot, your knee now abducts or comes away from the midline of the body. You may want to place a little pressure, pushing it further out. For those that want more, nectar of the moon pose. Open up, bringing your right hand back behind you, looking at that hand behind. Holding for 5, 4. Remember, you can put that knee down at any stage. 3, 2, and on the 1, bring both hands back to the inside of that foot. We're going to wiggle that foot just back into the midline of the body. Both hands are now framing the foot. We're going to push back into downward facing dog. In your down dog, you might be thinking, oh, that was quite intense. Let's take a moment to rest in our balasana or child's pose. So bringing your knees to the mat. Bring them out as wide as the yoga mat. Big toes come to touch behind you. Sinking the hips back. Hands come towards in the front. And resting the head onto the mat. Take 5 breaths here just to regain your breathing. 4 more breaths. 3 more breaths. Balasana is an excellent recovery position, and even in this one with your wide leg, child's pose, it's great to regain breath but also have an active position while you're stretching. On your next inhale, leading with the nose. Nose comes up first. Placing some weight back in the hands, coming back into our downward facing dog. So we curl our toes under, we push the hips back. We're in our down dog. From here, you're going to place your weight into your right foot. Left foot comes up, 3-legged dog. From here, open your hips up, kick that leg behind you, stacking your hips, bone on bone, ensuring that your heel still drives towards the mat. And bringing it through. Your knee comes towards your left wrist, pigeon pose. And we're going to scooch that right leg back. Scooch, I'm sure that's a word. Scooch the right leg back. From here, proud pigeon. So come up onto your fingertips, open up through the chest. What I'd say with your leg placement here is if you're a really advanced yogi, it'll be like a 90-degree angle. Anyone else, just have a play, but please don't grab your ankle and reef it forward. Always push back onto your straight leg behind you. Quick check, make sure the leg behind you is straight rather than it skewing in or out. We're going to come down into our sleeping swan position. So walking on our fingertips forward. Maybe you release down to your elbows here. Maybe you want a little bit more, so you walk the hands forward. And then you're going to release the head to the mat if that's available to you. We're here for 5 breaths. 4 breaths. 3 nice smooth exhales out. 2 more breaths. 1 last breath in this position. And then as you inhale, the nose calves align, looking up, weight comes back into the hands. Bringing the hands back, walking them back towards your knees. Proud pigeon again, open up through the chest, pulling those shoulder blades, snuggling them in back towards each other. We're going to curl those back toes under, picking up that back knee. We're going to step our legs back to downward facing dog. So this time, we're going to do the same, but on the opposite leg. So from here, we've been working on our right leg, so we're going to work on our left. So picking up our left leg, bring it up behind you, 3-legged dog. Pushing that heel down, focusing on making sure that even though all 3 limbs are there, your downward dog posture doesn't change. Now open it up, stack your hips, kicking that heel behind you. Holding for 3, 2, and on the 1 we're going to step that leg all the way forward. You'll feel like you're in your low lunge here. What I'd like you to do is make sure that that knee stays in with the inside of your body. We're going to bring ourselves up into warrior one. So from here, we're going to engage the glutes, pull through the core, hands come off the mat, coming up, and then sinking down into that warrior one. From here, I want you to find the fingers, make a Charlie's Angels, gun position, pulling open the chest, bring those arms back towards the ears, looking up between your palms if it's available to you. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and on the 1, we're going to step through into warrior 3, that floating warrior position. For intermediate students, jump ahead. For the rest of us, I'll take us through. So take a tiny step forward. Should feel nice and high at this moment. Bring the hands to your chest in Namaste position. We're going to slowly tip forward onto that front foot, keeping a slight bend in that knee. As we tip forward, that back foot comes up. So you're going to feel maybe here's enough today, maybe here, maybe here. So you're going to roll through, point that toe behind you. For intermediate students, feel your hips, dial them both towards the mat. Holding for 5, 4, if you want more, hands out in front. 3, if you want even more, back to your wings. 2, and on the 1, we're going to step that foot back behind you. We're going to take our hands and then put them on the inside of that front foot. We're coming into lizard. So from here, let me just jump onto the camera. I want to check, have I got a 90-degree angle with my front foot? With both hands on the inside, I want to make sure that that left foot is snuck out towards the edge of the mat. Now, the cheat for your body here is that that back knee is going to want to come down. Dial it up. If you're a beginner, maybe you place that knee back down. Today's where you start. From here, I want you to bend the elbows. Elbows come facing towards that back foot. Holding for 5. Maybe you release the elbows if you're intermediate. 4. Pick that back knee up. 3, 2, and on the 1, place that back knee down. Come up onto the fingertips. Nice little release. Look forward. What we're coming to next is our twisted lizard position. So we're going to place our hands back down where they were, picking the back knee up if you're intermediate, keeping it on the ground. Come up onto that knife edge of your pinky toe. Nice knife edge. Maybe you push that knee a little bit out. Or if you want a bit more, open the hand, look behind you, nectar of the moon pose. Holding for 5, back knee up, 4, 3, 2, and on the 1, windmill the hands back down towards the mat. We're going to step that left foot back to meet our right. We're in downward dog position. Check your posture here. Hands are spread wide. Chest is pushing towards the mat. I release any tension in my neck. Looking between my toes, chest comes down, tailbone pushes up. Downward facing dog. We're going to put our weight into our left foot. Right foot picks up. Steps up behind you, 3-legged dog. Make sure you're form, they've got that heel driving towards. Now open it up, stack those hips. Foot kicks behind you, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and on the 1, coming up to pigeon. So bringing that knee towards our right wrist, placing it down. From this position, you want to step that back leg back behind you. Give it a quick check. Has it splayed out, or is it straight behind? Come up into our proud pigeon, so onto our fingertips. Open up through the chest. Looking up, snuggle those shoulder blades back behind you. And then we walk it down into our sleeping swan. So on the fingertips, walking down. Maybe coming onto the elbows is enough today. Stay there. Maybe you want to walk it even further forward. Releasing your hands all the way forward and the forehead comes to the mat. In this position, you should feel a really intense stretch down the sides of your glute into your thigh. We'll hold in this for 5 more breaths. 4 more breaths. 3 more breaths. Really focus on that exhale. As you exhale, you can sink further into these positions. 2 more breaths. Maybe a slight rock back and forward feels good. On your last breath, we're going to carve a line with our nose as you inhale. Nose comes up, looking up. Weight comes back into the hands. Pushing our fingers back up into that proud pigeon again. Open up through the chest. Push through that heart chakra. From here we're going to curl the back toes under, lifting up that back leg. We're going to place the hands onto the mat, picking that knee up, bringing it behind you. One last downward facing dog. In this one, just pedal out any tension or tightness from what we've just been through. Really strong workout for our legs, through our chest. Pedaling it out. 2 more breaths here. And then we're going to release our knees to the mat. We're going to sit back onto our heels and we're going to swing our legs out in front of us. So you bump your hips. Bring the legs out in front. Nice release for the feet here. Bring both of your feet together towards each other. We're going to come into cobbler's pose, or you might hear this called butterfly. The closer you can bring your heels into the body, the better, but I want you to focus on really lengthening through your torso, sitting nice and tall. Depending where you feel comfortable, you might start to give your arches of your feet a little massage while you use your mind to push down those knees. Maybe you want your elbows to come and push down the knees manually. We're going to hold this for 5, push down. 3, make sure you're sitting tall. 2, and on the 1, gently release that pressure you're placing down. Take your hands, make them bring the knees back in together, bring them out in front. Dandasana, or your staff pose. In this one, just remove the fleshy parts of the buttocks, so you've got your sit bones that are onto the mat. Point the toes towards the face. We're going to slowly roll back for 10. If you've had enough, you think, no thanks, we'll meet you back there on the mat. So rolling back. Arms come out in front like train tracks. Make sure they haven't snuck up towards the ears. Pulling that shoulder blades back. Really proud chest here, pushing through. We're rolling back for 10. 9. Make sure that belly's scooped in. 8. 7. 6. 5. Halfway. 4. Should feel the shake. 3. 2. And on the 1, releasing down. Arms come up behind you. Extend the legs long, arms long, nice big full body stretch. And from here, I want you to bring both hands underneath your buttocks. We're going to come into Matyasana, or your fish pose, which is a really nice opener for the chest. So both hands are underneath your buttocks of your sit bones. You're going to pull your elbows in underneath the body. So as you pull them in, you'll find that your body will start to naturally rise. As it does, push the chest up, releasing the head back towards the mat. Feeling that you're on the crown of your head, pushing through the chest. If this feels quite scary, you can just push your chest up, holding the neck. You can release the neck down, you'll get the full extension of this one. Make sure that you've Push that chest nice and high. You're pulling the elbows, snuggling them underneath. Holding this for 4 more breaths. Point the toes, 3 more breaths. 2 more breaths. Now the way to come out of this position is head comes up first. Head comes up, looking towards the toes. Elbows allow you to slide back down. Back becomes connection with the mat. Then we release our hands from underneath. From this position, we're going to come into Shavasana. So you've worked hard, it's time to just have a nice moment of reprieve, bit of relaxation from yoga. So release both hands away from the yoga mat, away from your torso. Both of your legs, just let them splay open, nice and wide. I'm going to change it up from my usual routine here. What I want you to do is clench everything. Clench your jaw, pull it all together, clench your buttocks, clench your hands, clench your feet, curl your toes, clench, 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 clench. As you exhale, let it all go. You should feel yourself just melt onto the yoga mat. All of that stress, all that tension is just released. Close your eyes. Place some focus on your breathing. Take a nice inhale through the nose, big long one. And a big exhale through the mouth. And again, inhale through the nose. Big exhale through the mouth. Place the focus on your forehead, the skin of your face and your jaw. Be curious if there's any tension or tightness still held there. As you inhale, breathe into this space. And as you exhale, release. Place a focus on your neck and your shoulders. Be curious if you feel any tension or tightness being stored there. As you inhale, breathe into these areas. And as you exhale, release. Place a focus on your upper back, mid back, down to your pelvis. Be curious of the mood of the body in these areas. As you inhale, breathe into these areas. And as you exhale, release any tension or tightness. Place a focus on your thighs, on your knees and calves. Be curious of any tightness or tension being stored there. As you inhale, breathe into these areas. And as you exhale, release. Lastly, place a focus on your feet, on your heels, the arches and your toes. Feel if there's any tension or tightness being stored there. As you breathe into these areas, as you inhale, as you exhale, release. As you next inhale, just scan down the body, looking for any tension or tightness. Using the power of your breath, send it there and then release. On your next inhale, just feel yourself sink further and further, melting onto the yoga mat as you exhale. Next inhale, just become aware of the room that you're lying in. Become aware yourself lying on the yoga mat, of the weight of the body, laying there nice and still, feeling all of the stress, tension and anxiety melting away. On your next inhale, gently wiggle the fingers and the toes, tiniest of movements, so small that if someone was watching, you may not even notice. Just gently returning some energy back to the body. On your next inhale, as you exhale, rolling the right ear to right shoulder. Feeling a nice stretch of the left-hand side of the neck. Keep wiggling your fingers and your toes. And as you inhale, bring the neck to neutral. And then as you exhale, left ear, left shoulder. Feeling a nice stretch of the right-hand side of the neck. And as you inhale, come back to neutral spine with your head. And on your next exhale, bring your right knee in, hug it into the body. As you next inhale, upon the exhale, bring your left knee into the body. Gently just roll back and forth, nice lumbar spine massage. And on your next exhale, rolling the knees to the right hand side of the body, coming into that fetal position we like to sleep in, releasing the left hand to the mat. Take a deep inhale here, and a long exhale out. One more time. Inhale in here. And a long exhale out. From here, place some weight into that left hand, pushing up from the yoga mat. Keep your eyes closed. Rolling back up into that comfortable cross-legged position that we commenced with at the start of practice. Keep your eyes closed, it's available to you. Bring the hands onto the knees. Sitting up tall, make yourself lengthen through that lower part of your torso. Rolling the shoulders up, back and down. The shoulder blades are snuggling in towards each other. Chin is parallel with the floor. Take a big inhale here. And a long exhale out. One more, inhale here. And a long exhale out. Bring the hands together at your heart center, Namastay prayer position. Gently tilt the head ever so slightly towards the hands, a slight bow of the head. From here, rub the palms together. Feel that heat, that yogic energy that you can create. Rub the hands to create that warmth. Then place that warmth over your closed eyes, palms over the eyes. Inhale. As you exhale, blink the eyes open under your palms. Become aware of the light. Take another inhale. And as you exhale, rub that warmth over your scalp, down your neck, across your shoulders, down the lower back, over your thighs, and the front of your shins, and as always, ending at your feet. A big thank you to your body for allowing you to practice today. That was a Phoenix Flow, that real rising from the ashes. It is a full body practice, and I really hope that you enjoyed that one. As always, hands together at heart center, up to your third eye. Namaste. Thank you very much, guys. Cheers for practicing.